dear. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Reseller Show, session number 20. My name's Andy Lawrence.
And my name's Kev Blackburn.
And I hope you're doing very well this evening on this Monday evening at 7:30. As usual, we're live and ready to go. If you're in the chat this evening, in the live chat, give us a shout and let us know how you're getting on. Like, good to see who's in and who's raring to go. As always, we're going to take your questions, try and help you out, all things to do with reselling on Amazon and on the internet in general, and just catching up with my good mate Kev. How have you been, my friend? How's your week been?
Yeah, really good. It's been a great start to the week so far. So really looking forward to another reseller show. It's one of those times of the week where I really look forward to seeing you guys, talking to you guys, and just getting the conversation started. And that's what the reseller show is all about. It's all about ultimately any questions you guys have got. We will cover them. You'll get two different perspectives from Andy's point of view with the wealth of knowledge that Andy has over a decade, and my little bit of knowledge compared to Andy's. I will put my 2 cents in there as well.
I'm sure you've got one or two more than 2 cents, Kev. There's always something interesting to chat about. So, we've got a few things to chat about. We've had some questions in the Reseller Show chat, so we'll be going through those this evening. Let me just see if we can find.
We've got Simon in. We've got Chris in, Arbitrage Superstars. Great to see you guys. It appeared just for information, I had to set the YouTube to public again. So there's always a slight delay. Not entirely sure what's what, but you found us, and that's the main thing. So I hope you guys are doing really well. I hope your Mondays, the week has started perfectly for you.
Absolutely. Let me just see if I can find the comments here. That's the one that we're looking for. Let me just pause that. There we go. So who have we got in? We've got Sam's in. Always good to see you, Sam. And Simon's made it. Well done, Simon. He's found us. Yeah, we've still got to figure out the whole feed thing. There's one or two glitches to sort out in the feed, but I'm glad you've found us. Danny's in as well. Good to see you, Danny. Now Kev's changed that over. Hopefully we should get some notifications out, and so we may as well get cracking. Let me just see if I can bring up some questions before we get on to questions. Actually, didn't you have some minor successes to do with wholesale this week, Kev? How have you been getting on with your wholesale journey?
Yeah, it's been a crazy start to the year. We had the spring fair, as you guys will know, and I'm sure you guys were there. We had the spring fair, which was really good. It was a great opportunity for me to take Steve there and introduce him to the world of trade shows and things. And this past week, we've been in wholesale since last year. We actually went to the autumn fair and we got started and we got going. But now we've got Steve in the business. This past week had a bit of a success in my own business where we managed to place an order, quite a substantial order actually, around about £2,500, completely without me in the system at all. So it was one of those moments where you're thinking to yourself, right, we've spent that amount of money. I hope everybody's done a good job.
This is where we stress test the system, Kev. We'll see how it works.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, I know in terms of automated wholesale, I know that I believe it's possible to have everything in place for you to be automated in wholesale as well. And I've used a lot of the fundamentals, the philosophies of what we've put in our online arbitrage business. It's basically the same team that has allowed us to place this order, with the slight difference where Steve is now in communication with the actual wholesale, the area manager. So it's not like you get a website that you can go check out at. You've actually got to, we're going through the price list. We then we've had Steve create an actual account, which is awesome, in communication with the actual wholesaler themselves. Then we got the price list, which was all managed by Steve, which was awesome. Then the team went through that price list. We selected some products that we feel fit our criteria. And then Steve was in communication to actually place that order. All I did was I logged onto the bank account and sent them the money without looking at what we were purchasing. Because at this moment in time, I don't have anybody in our personal business bank accounts to do that transfer. That'll be something down the line where I'll have to get somebody in, probably Steve or someone. But it was a big learning curve. It's amazing on when you start to take some action like that. It's amazing on the little things that they don't know, so they come to you. Well, how do you do this? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you just fill in the gaps.
It's quite interesting how much you know when you have to transfer that information to someone else. It's quite an interesting procedure to try and download your experience so far and to as you say, just to impart that into someone else, because you say there's lots of backwards and forwards about small pieces of information. But yeah, that's priceless. If you can get that up and running, and that's just another part of your business that is semi-automated, then that's fantastic. You're really pushing on. If you can keep finding new wholesale suppliers and keep that system moving, then you're going to be absolutely smashing it before long. You'll be in that second warehouse by the end of the year, Kev.
Well, I mean, that's definitely the goal. I'm definitely pushing the comfort zone, because it's another level of comfort zone. I mean, there's a bit of a difference between, when I first started to outsource my online arbitrage business and people were purchasing on my behalf, some of the orders that we place is a lot smaller. It's like, £100 there, £200 there, £500 there. But when you get a substantial order where it's not, the difference with wholesale is you can't call the wholesaler, or you can't take this pallet and you just walk it back to the wholesaler and say, can I have a refund?
Yeah, I've changed my mind. Take it back. I don't want it.
You can't do that, and that's been a barrier to overcome. But it's exciting times, and I'm definitely going to obviously share everything that works for me. I'm just going to literally share it all on the Reseller Show. So.
Good for you. Good for you. No, it's exciting time, Kev. So, I mean, that absolutely is something that is a major step. If you can get to that point where you're taking yourself out and you're on that process of constantly looking for suppliers, finding, interacting, getting an account, moving forward, that's just going to help you scale so quickly. It really is. And also for them, they'll learn so much in the process as well. And even if they're a few bits short, they'll quickly learn it just by doing anyway. So it's a fantastic idea to put that in place. And it's something, that process is what I've been teaching the wholesale domination students over the last 5 weeks, and trying to get that process as slick and as easy as possible to teach them how to go through that and to keep repeating it, because the better you get at that process and the more people you can approach and the different ways you can find it. Because the thing I wanted to impart really in my course is it's worth spending the effort to find those hard to reach suppliers, because if it's hard for you to get hold of them, it'll be hard for everyone else. And the harder it is, the less competition you'll have. And, it's worth the extra effort to go that extra yard, because if you do what most people won't do, then there'll be less people there with you. So, it makes a big difference, that extra work to put in up front, because it will pay you back 10 times on the back end once you have an account.
Oh, definitely. At any time there's some type of barrier involved, just by going to the trade show, that took a proportion of people that are not willing to go to trade shows.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So at every stage there is people not persevering or just, it's too much for me. I'm giving up. So I think, one thing that's the reason why you're still here, Andy, after years upon years upon years, is because it's that tenacity. It's that willingness to overcome and see the journey out, and that's certainly what we definitely try to share. I know a lot of you guys that are in the chat now, you guys have got that too, because you're here week on week. You're here all the time, and it's we really do appreciate spending the time with you guys.
Absolutely. And it's what makes all the difference, is that tenacity, as you say, that makes all the difference. Because something I shared with my group recently, I think in the last module, is I get a lot of people asking me on a regular basis, because my whole community is wholesale help. It's focused around wholesale. So lots of people contact me and say, I've tried getting wholesale suppliers, but I couldn't find any good ones, or I tried to ask someone for a supply and they said no. How do you do it? And I said, well, what did you do? This is my general response when they asked me this. I said, what did you do then? Then what? So they said no when you asked to open an account. Did you did you open another one? Did you ask someone else? Did you look again and then try again and then try again? Or did you just give up and say, well, that didn't work, I'm going to go and do something else, maybe a little bit easier? Because that's the difference, that tenacity of saying, well, I've got my answer. I've got a positive answer to that question. The question was, can I have an account? And the answer was no. So I now have an answer. I'm not unsure. I'm positive that I can't have an account. Okay, fine. I'm going to move on to the next question and ask that question. Can I have an account with this person? And you keep doing that until somebody says yes. And then you learn the difference between that guy and the last guy. That's all I had to go on. I had less than everyone else had to go on because I didn't have the benefit of other people before me. So yeah, how do you get there? I don't know. You figure it out. You speak to people. You ask questions. You work at it. You employ tenacity, which is one of my favorite sayings. Just get out and do it.
And do you know one of the most powerful words you said in all that? Then, Andy, it was the word until. Until. Yeah. I will keep going until. I will keep pushing forward until successful. And that's really the truth. I mean, I think it's a matter of. Because at the end of the day, I think this business model, like reselling, I think it's one of the most brilliant business models out there right now that ultimately anybody from any place, anywhere can get started, whether it is retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, wholesale, whatever it is. And it's so practical for you to go out to a shop and start scanning stuff. And it's really something that you can do in your spare time. I'll give you an example, right? There's a young man called Alex Phillip, and I shared this with you a couple of weeks ago. I've got an interview coming out with him tomorrow. 15 years old. He's predicted to do 1.5 million on Shopify this year. 15 years old, and I said to him in the interview, and you've got to watch this interview because it's such a fascinating case study on really what is possible. It doesn't matter how old you are, 15 years old or 85 years old. What's fascinating about this, I said to him in the call, I said, you know what, Alex, I was like, if you were an adult, if you was like working full time, you would have been able to quit your job right now. And he was like, yeah. I was like, but you're at school and you can't quit your school. He says, I'm struggling.
I can imagine, but it takes a level head. You'll have to have a level head for a while because it'd be easy when you come up against hardship and maybe school's hard. It's easy to say, I don't need this. I've got my own thing going on, but he's going to have to employ some patience of his own to be able to.
For sure. It's the psychology on this young man. It's far beyond his years because he was talking about leadership and he was talking about team building. Like he's been around for 15 years, not like actually in adults for 15 years, not just on the planet. So what an incredible story. I can't wait. I'll most likely share it in the Reseller Show Facebook group as well. Because I just think I love the great thing about the internet now. It's actually given us, it's given everybody who has access to the internet the ability to find a reference for success. Wherever you are, like whatever situation you find yourself in, there is somebody out there that's most likely been in your situation or very similar. And if you can find that person and be inspired by that person, and even if it just gives you that hope that it's possible, that's when you start to think, I will be successful. I will do this until, and that's ultimately what this show's all about.
Massive. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that. It'll be a really interesting video for sure. But that's it. Mindset's a massive part of this. When you're learning, there's lots of doubts. There's lots of things. Will it work? Am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to learn this? Yeah, you just have to have the right mental mindset. Jim Rohn had a great example of this. I don't have kids, so I've not had the pleasure of this process. But if you're potty training a child and it's really hard, and I've heard it's not easy sometimes to to potty train a child if they don't take to it easily. You don't get a point where they're not getting it and they're not getting it, and months go by. You don't go, oh, you know what, we'll just leave it. We just won't potty train it. That doesn't happen, does it? You do it until you get there. There is no point where you say, oh, this is too hard, we're just going to give up and not bother. You're going to do it one way or another. It might be hard. Some people, it might be really hard, but you keep going until you get to your desired goal. And that's the same as anything. There is no question. If there's no question in your mind, you will get there. And that's as simple as it. If you've got the right mindset, you'll get there. It might be just slightly harder or slightly easier. It all depends on how it goes, but you just keep going until you get there. That's it.
Yeah. It's your own personal journey, isn't it? I mean, take one step forward and see if you're better than yesterday, and that's all. And that's all this is all about. It's not about can you do this first, or can you compare yourself to anybody. It's about, I just compare myself to myself yesterday. I compare my team to what we did yesterday. That's all. And then if we improve year on year, that's ultimately the goal.
Yeah, massive, absolutely massive. If you're always improving in your life and your business, then you're winning, absolutely. And that's
great. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, even if you have a setback, even if you have a negative point in that road, you've still learned how, you've learned that doesn't work. That particular approach, or whatever you're doing, that's not going to work. So you've still learned something. You can say, okay, I'll notch that down. Maybe I'll do that differently. I'm not going to have that approach. So, there's even your bad points are still going to be a massive up point if you take that right attitude in learning. So that's all I wanted to say.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, it's definitely the key to continue pushing through, even if you go through the challenging times and things. But so I hope that was a bit of an inspirational chat we just had there. But good to see you, Danny, and Sean. Oh, great question here. What do you think to selling worldwide on Amazon, Andy?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an interesting concept, isn't it? I mean, who knows how that's going to go, in the future. There's lots of options, isn't there? There's markets coming on almost on a monthly basis. There are new opportunities, and I think each new country that comes in and different things that Amazon bring in may potentially bring its own set of issues and strengths and weaknesses. As we know with Europe, there is the access to the additional market is good, but the potential for more bureaucracy and more tax implications are maybe a slight negative. So we'll just have to see how it all goes. But one thing we know for sure, Amazon isn't going to stop anytime soon. They're always looking to grow. They're always looking to sort of have the strength in numbers and have that scale, economies of scale. So the further they go, the more marketplaces they're in, the more fulfillment centers they open up. They have a bigger network, and a bigger fulfillment network is only going to be, a stronger platform. So I'm always interested to see how everything works out in the future. I've just remembered a bit of news, actually. It's just come to me. I don't know whether it was that question or not, but did you want to chip in on that particular question, Kev? Have you got anything to say about that?
I mean, I echo, just quickly my thoughts, I echo exactly what you've just said. I think it's, to me, I think it's absolutely mind-blowing. And I actually think that is Amazon's ultimate goal. Like, if you think of like Facebook's, I think Mark Zuckerberg said that his ultimate goal is to connect the world through Facebook, right? So they've got like 2 billion people on Facebook, maybe declining now. I don't really know the ins and outs. But from Amazon's point of view, from what they do, it makes probably sense. Their goal will probably be to have customers in all areas of the entire world, every country. Amazon, if you want something, you go to Amazon and it's going to come to you. So ultimately, from our side of things, what does that mean for us? I think we're living through the greatest time of opportunity ever. And I don't actually think, just to put my 2 cents in terms of where I think the future is going, I actually think in how rapidly technology and how rapidly the world has expanded, and we could talk about where we would be in 20 years' time. But I actually think, imagine the day when we've got like 3D printers, where somebody purchases something and it like prints in 3D, and you've got this pair of trainers there, and you've just purchased it, and now your printer is now just printing out a mug. Like, you know, and I know that sounds ridiculous. I know that sounds like really like maybe far-fetched or whatever. But at the same time, if you said to your grandparents, one day you'd be able to talk to somebody from around the world, and you'd be with your smartphone, and you'd be able to talk to like Instagram or YouTube, and you've got like, you know, potentially millions of people watching you. It sounds balmy, but I actually think that, imagine that, like Amazon and 3D printing. My goodness.
That's print on demand, but just one step further, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
We're already in that direction. You know, we've got 3D printing. We've already got print on demand. It's just that little bit more technology to come in our direction. And I'm sure they can extrude the ceramic in the same way as they can with the plastic once they've figured out a compound that works like that. And, you know, there's all sorts. I don't think it'll be long. I
don't think it'll be long. And you think then it just goes from one step to another in terms of, once you've got 3D printing and you are printing objects, eventually it'll be like, well, how do you do that in terms of a person? And I know, again, that sounds ridiculous, but do you know what I mean? Who knows how the world's going to turn? I mean, Elon Musk, I love that guy and what he's doing. He's already trying to change the world in terms of travel, like taking how long's a flight to South Africa, Andy?
It's about 12 hours if you go direct.
12 hours direct. That's 12 hours. It's a long time. He's already coming up with, well, how do you get on rockets and get to South Africa, not 12 hours, but 30 minutes? Yeah. Do you see what I mean? So
yeah,
that's where we're heading. I think it will happen in our lifetime, and it's just a case of being in the game.
Absolutely. The tunnels, you know, what does he's actually been experimenting with tunnels in Los Angeles, I think, to beat the traffic. You know, he's been digging these I've forgotten what they're called now. There is the name of the company is a pretty cool name. I can't remember it. But yeah, he's come out with so many very original ideas, and Richard Branson as well has got the rail project where essentially you're going to be a train within a vacuum, and then there's no friction within that vacuum, so you can go at exponential speed. So, you know, if you can lay those tube trains down through the ground, you would potentially in that vacuum be able to go at some ridiculous speed with virtually no power at all, because once you get up to speed, there's no air to slow you down, and there's no friction to slow you down. So, you know, all these ideas and things that are coming in the future are just mind-boggling. And in that, if you could actually lay a tunnel in that way from where we are to South Africa, I imagine you could probably be there in, you know, an hour or something, just like you would with the Eurostar, but just over a longer period. And you get on a nice comfortable cabin, you slowly get up to speed, and then within an hour you're somewhere completely different. It'd be crazy.
Fascinating, isn't it? Fascinating. And I should get the video, and I can't remember what video it was, and it was talking about the next crazy time where the internet changed a lot. Obviously, it's changed a lot in terms of like being able to do online business, communication, all these things. But I think we are going to be due some type of another shift and another spike up, and it will be something to do with traveling faster around the world than ever before. It will be something to do with some type of human genetics, so we live longer. It will have something to do with some type of 3D type printing, whatever that is. Because as soon as you got 3D printing, I mean, think about that. That'd be crazy and what you could do at that point.
Absolutely.
And I think it's just a case. I think for us as entrepreneurs, I think it's a case of trying to get in somewhere. You don't have to be the person that invents some type of teleportation. You don't have to be that Mark Zuckerberg to make a significant change in your life. If you're just involved, and that's what we are. We're involved in Amazon, and that's ultimately it.
Riding the wave. Absolutely. There's no need to reinvent the wheel, because you've got some pioneers that are doing that, and you can be at the forefront of the latest technology and take advantage. Yeah, fascinating. Yeah, really fascinating subject. There's so much going on in the future. It's a good time to be alive, Gav, for sure. But something I wanted to chat about, I saw this midweek that caught my attention. I'll be interested to hear with you've experienced this week. This comes from Luke Pastor at the UK Book Flipper community. Once again, he's always got his finger on the pulse of what's going on. And he's found that the box weight limit is potentially changing for shipments going into Amazon. I don't know if you've experienced it this week, Kev. I don't know if do you send in boxes up to 30 kilos? I don't know what your box size is generally, but I understand that if you're sending in up to 30 now, Amazon now going to be limiting to 23 kilos in future. Have you heard about that?
I have actually, yes. I've got our warehouse processor put a message out on our warehouse channel. I'm just looking down here because I'm just trying to find it. Yeah, basically, it appears that Amazon, they're obviously always trying to optimize their processes and things. Up until this point, we do still ship up to 30. But I mean, if there's nothing we can really do. Like, if Amazon change it, then that's what we're just gonna have to roll with the punches. But I know, I'm just trying to find it here. I basically just said to the team, I was sort of saying that if this comes out, obviously we're gonna have to adjust. But if we, until Amazon say no or stop, we'll just keep going. And just on that note, this goes back to when I first started. We were shipping above 30 kilograms. Now, obviously, don't do this. But back in the day when I was just getting started and we moved out into the warehouse, we didn't even, and this is just the evolution of the business, right? So we didn't even weigh our shipments. That's how novice we were. We were just like, pick it up. Yeah, that's about right. And we used to make boxes. We placed this order once, and I kid you not, tables arrived. Tables. Like, these big tables arrived at the warehouse, and I was like, oh crap. This is part and parcel of having like a outsourcing purchasing. You're going to have scenarios where you purchase something and it's like, what the hell have you done here? We've got 8 tables turned up. Like, slip through the net, that one. Fortunately, it wasn't like a washing machine or a sofa or something. So what did I have? You use everything you possibly can at your disposal. So what I did at the time was I had Amber, who's been working with us since day one, since back at home. She became our master box maker, where she would get on her hands and knees, and she'd literally wrap up these tables like a Christmas present with boxes. These boxes were huge. I remember UPS coming and going, bloody hell, what's going on here? And some of these boxes were huge. They were very, very heavy. And we continued to do that until Amazon said to us, it was like a very, very like severe, like, you know when you get an email from Amazon, you're like, oh, shit, I've got to look at this email now. I'd check this email out. I was like, oh crap, what have we done here? And it was like it wasn't like a template email. It was like it was clearly some type of higher manager in a fulfillment center. And they basically said, do not ship this ever again.
Stop sending us tables, please, Mr. Blackburn. We're crying out loud.
But the reason why I was mentioning about the weight was because they sent us the box. This box had like, I can't remember what was in it, bricks or something, but it was like 58 kilograms. Anyway, since then, I got this email and I purchased some scales.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I bet your UPS guy must have loved you. It's like, oh no, we're going to Blackburn Enterprises again. He's going to give us 58 kilo boxes. He'll start turning up with a weight belt on all of a sudden and some of those fingerless gloves.
Oh god, yeah. But I mean, it was just a funny one. But I have read that the team mentioned it, and I think if Amazon do that, then it is what it is.
Here's what I heard about this in the conversation. They're changing their inflow. They've got some new machinery or something. It might be only certain fulfillment centers to begin with. It might be rolling out to the other ones. That's maybe why it's a bit hit and miss at the moment. But what I've heard on the grapevine anyway, by no means confirmed yet, but they've got some new machines that are supposed to be a lot faster and a lot more automated. So the influx of the goods in will be quicker and faster and more efficient, which sounds like Amazon. So to do this, the boxes will be coming onto like a conveyor belt, and then it will be taken up and they will be scanned, and the barcodes will be scanned as the boxes come in and things like that. And to be able to do that, these new conveyor belts only can handle up to 23 kilograms apparently. So they're just not spec to do any heavier weight. So I don't know if they will adjust the UPS rates because of that, because we're kind of losing value if that is the case. But as usual with Amazon, it's full of fogginess. They haven't actually put out any proper information on it. They've not done a proper notification, but people are starting to get notifications because they're sending in bigger boxes saying you sent in this item, it was 28 kilos, you can't send anything over 23. So it's patchy at best, which is typical Amazon with these sorts of things. But hopefully someone will get the message and actually put out a more clarifying announcement, and we'll see. But I think your response, Kev, is probably the right one. You haven't heard otherwise, so you may as well continue until that is the case. But it would be nice. It would be a nice gesture from Amazon to have a midpoint, maybe a cheaper UPS price, given the fact that you're losing quite a bit of extra weight per box. So it'd be nice to see maybe a mid ground on the sort of rather than doubling it. If you're doubling your cost on the from the 15, you're certainly not getting anywhere near double the capacity on the weight. So hopefully they'll respond to that and we'll get something out of it. But I think we'll just have to watch and see how it all plays out as usual with Amazon, because you never know.
No, we don't, and that's just. It's an easy thing for them to control, really. Just prevent people putting on bigger than 23. Just go in error, so you can't complete the shipment.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Once that happens, because right now you put over 30, it won't allow you to do it. So
yeah, it doesn't take much.
It'd be an easy rollout for them. Having said that, we've spoken before how they manage like performance notifications and like restricted products. It's easy for them just to remove them before suspending people. But again, we're talking with Amazon. They've obviously got lots of things to do. But I know what you mean. I think Amazon. I don't know. I feel like Amazon, they could be in a position now with the amount of customer support that they have, and with the amount of service that they can provide. I'd like to think that at some point they will focus their attention on the seller side of things and maybe have some type of, I don't know, I think it'd be nice to have a like an Amazon rep that's assigned to you. Do you know what I mean? Like as a seller account, and then proactively a seller rep could then be working with you maybe once a month, have a Skype meeting or something, and go like, right, we're going to look through your account. This is going really, really well. Your inbound performance, this has maybe been an issue. Is there something you can do? And then they're proactively actually engaged with us to actually improve the entire system. Do you know what I mean? I would welcome that. I would definitely welcome that. I would love to have somebody from Amazon speak to me and go, look, we're going to just do an overview of you. Because if they get in contact with us now as sellers, we're immediately like, oh crap, what we done? What's this? Like, oh God, the whole world is caving in on us. But it'd be great for them to build those bridges and go, do you know what? We're assigning, I'm not saying you need to have a manager each, like depending on, like YouTube, for example, I don't actually know, but I heard once you get to a certain point on YouTube, like over 100,000 subscribers or 1 million or whatever it is, you get assigned a YouTube account manager who reaches out to you and a partner manager who reaches out to you and goes, look, you're doing this great. Have you thought about this? This is how you can improve. This is how you can serve your community. I think Amazon can do that too. I'm not saying maybe for every seller, but maybe if you go over some type of threshold or something where you're now like a business and have some type of rep, and then they can talk to, they can get the word out much easier. Like a part of a monthly meeting with the rep, it could be, look, we're discussing the potential of going down from 30 to 23. Get some feedback from us. What would that mean for you in your business? How would it affect you? Then somebody like yourself, Andy, you can go, all right, well, what does that mean about UPS shipping rates? And how does that affect us? And then all that gets fed back into the machine of Amazon, all these seller reps. This is the feedback we're getting. And then an email comes out that's actually educated to what we're talking about. And, I like to think that somebody on Amazon, the amazing company that they are, it's got to be on their wish list. They've got to have some type of improvement list somewhere. And I'm hoping a seller account rep is on there. If not, I'm recommending it.
Yeah, definitely. It would make such a difference, but it's in their benefit as well, having that interaction. So you say, I mean, there's a lot of us, but how many people could like one manager deal with? Quite a few. If you were just sat there calling each person all day, every day as your job, just interacting and giving them the latest information, you could have quite a lot of individual sellers per person. So it wouldn't have to be crazy, I don't think. And that interaction, you get the feedback from them. They could then ask the questions and go away and find some answers for you if there are some things. But like, for how good would that be if Amazon overhead, the local UK management said, we need to get this message out to the UK sellers. This is where we want to steer them. So then those individual managers could then just, next time they touch base, just say, by the way, have you thought about this? This is what we'd like you to try and look at. And this is what, would like you to do. That would be powerful for them. It'd be powerful for you. It just would make sense. So I agree. That would be massive. And,
I think that would be huge.
The partner managers and YouTube work very well. I've had one for a number of years. Her name's Jenny at the YouTube space in London. She's based at, and she does an amazing job. Going backwards and forwards, pointing out anything. We have the odd meeting every now and again. Come in, she looks at the metrics and say, "This is you're doing amazingly here. This is probably where you could actually do a lot better." And she'll go into bat for you. She'll go and speak to the analytics team that are usually reserved for people that have got like massive multi-million-pound account. She'll knock on the door and say, can you just check this for me and just analyze this? And she'll come back with this information and be able to share it. And she's made a massive help in my YouTube channel over the years, giving me information and direction. And if you had that with Amazon, it would be huge. And you don't have to take up a lot of their time in a whole year. They could get through a lot of people. And
to tell you the truth, Andy, like, if you think about it, if we were to actually spend some time and think about how that would look, it's very similar to, like, for example, myself and Steve, we've been developing like monthly reports throughout our businesses, like the performance across the entire businesses, where can we focus, business improvements, objectives for people, etc. And I think in terms of an Amazon point of view, if they were to like start some type of report, it could be sent via like PDF or something, like a personal report, like Andy's seller account, latest news that you need to be aware of, bullet point, feedback, what's your thoughts, and then it's like critical performance, your inbound performance is starting to it's starting to flag some things up, some systems are starting to flag, you need to take action on this as soon as possible, but don't come at it like you need to take action on this or you're suspended. Like, right. It's about continuous improvement. So all it needs is, we've noticed that there's a bit of a trend down in terms of your, I don't know, what polybags are you using? Because by the time they got to Amazon, they're always ripped open or something. Yeah. You see what I mean? Yeah. And then it's like, right, okay, let's have a discussion here in the warehouse. Everybody can have a discussion with their own team and go, these are the focuses for the next month. And then you come back the next month, you have that talk again, and it's like, that's improved. and I just feel, I feel like I should be like a director of Amazon or something.
Yeah, I think it would. I think they would benefit massively by having your help, Kev. To be honest with you, for sure. But there's a lot of things that we would all question with Amazon. So I think they need some help. They need some guidance when it comes to their seller customer relations. But I just want to jump back in the live chat here because people have been getting involved in the conversation, and Simon's chipped in and said it's the conveyor belt max weight. So what I suspected, Simon's confirmed, specifically the BHX4 fulfillment center, which incidentally is not a fulfillment center but a distribution center. I don't know the difference. Do you know the difference between the fulfillment center and a distribution center? It sounds like it sounds like the big end of a joke, doesn't it? What's the difference between a fulfillment center and a distribution center? We need a punchline for that, but I don't know. Is the
Please, what's the difference?
Don't leave us hanging now, Simon. Don't say that and not provide the answer. You're going to have to ask. You're going to have to tell us what the difference between a fulfillment center and a distribution center is. Maybe they receive the items in and then they distribute it to the different fulfillment centers. Maybe that it's a hub. Maybe BHX4 is a hub, and then it goes out, because quite often you'll get items. It will get checked in, and then it will go. What is it, on hold or pending, isn't it? And then it will be in transit to another place. So maybe that's what that is.
Yeah,
you'll have to let us know what you know, Simon, on that one. Okay, solid 6-sided box, max weight 22.5 kilos apparently. Maximum longest side 63 centimeters. Sounds a bit short. They said that you can still send 30-kilo boxes, but they get sorted manually and therefore slower. Okay, so they're not necessarily banning them, but they won't go up the conveyor belt, so they need to put them aside, and it may be that they'll be delayed in processing, which is not a bad trade-off. I mean, it's going to be a lot more economical. And if someone said you can send more products in, but it might be checked in an extra 24 hours slower, you might say, well, I'll take that. And then he said, however, I think they're going to phase it out. So there may be phasing. Yeah, that sounds like Amazon. That's the sort of thing they would do. Okay, so this was on one of Amazon's inbound webinars. They've been doing some live webinars recently, and apparently that
is actually the first step that they've done. That's very, very good. Yeah, I must admit that is definitely, in terms of what we've just been saying about the seller reps, I think that's the first step in that direction. So pleased with that.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good to see some feedback and also some actual faces, that you can speak to, and they're putting out their email addresses there. So potentially you could follow up with them and have an email address of a real human being that works for Amazon. You might be able to get an email address of someone on the fulfillment, inbound side. And if you paid attention to those ones, you could probably build up a bit of a contacts list. Even if they can't help you, it might get the point. You'll get the message to Amazon at least, and they could put that on, float that question up there if you've got some contact, rather than just getting hit by the customer service bots, so to speak, and never actually getting the information anywhere past. So that's definitely good from Amazon's point of view. Anyway, Sean says, carry on.
Here's a quick question for you. Did you hear about Amazon dropping a load of vendors this week?
I heard something about that. I'm not sure. I didn't pay too much attention.
No, I actually watched me Amazon. Larry, he put a great post out on Instagram talking about, now, excuse my lack of knowledge in terms of the vendor program and thing in terms of Amazon, but apparently Amazon just dropped a load of vendors without notice. Like, Amazon obviously place orders with these vendors for them to sell. I guess that's how it works, right?
Yeah.
and apparently they just dropped a load of vendors.
Yeah.
And without notice, just like, we're not placing any more orders. So obviously, from a vendor point of view, I mean, that's like, you've just had the. Could you imagine? Like, you're expecting maybe a £1 million a month from Amazon order, and now that order doesn't come. You know, so for them to have done that without notice, apparently. But again, don't quote me on any of this, because I don't know the fine details. But if it's true what came out, they've just dropped a load of vendors. That's, I'm wondering, and this is coming from Watch Me Amazon. So please do follow him on Instagram. Great post, a really engaging post. And he was sort of going into well, what does this mean? Why did Amazon do this? Is this sort of showing us what Amazon's thoughts are going forward? Have they potentially started to look at their third-party sellers as more valuable than them selling products themselves? Do you see what I mean? So it was a really good, interesting thought on why Amazon maybe have done this. Obviously, it's not come out. Nobody from Amazon have come out and said, we are dropping these vendors because A, B, C. It might simply be because, I don't know, those products weren't selling anymore, or they didn't have the demand to purchase them anymore, or whatever. Or if let's say, for example, they were getting big sales, they were actually, the sales velocity and the sales was there, they've just pulled the plug on them, then that's an interesting conversation to have. Why they would have done that, what's their idea going forward, and ultimately, what does that mean as in a ripple effect across us and everything else?
Well, I think I skim read that article. I think I was not in a position to properly read that at the time, but I think I did see it. And what I gleaned from that is not necessarily that they've 100% dumped in and said, you know, you're not selling. We don't want you to sell it. We don't want you anymore. But I think they've just said, we are no longer buying from you anymore. If you want to, you are welcome to list on the Amazon marketplace, and said, you do it. You know, we're not going to buy your products anymore. But if you want, you can become a seller, a third-party seller, and you can sell it yourself. So I think it feels to me like they're pulling out more of being their own seller, and they're just now becoming the platform owner for other people to do it, which feels like they're investing more in third-party sellers like us, and coming out of, and here's the other reason as well, because Europe cracking down more on some really sort of shady practices where it comes to online selling, and they've been putting out a set of very specific requirements and standards of practice, and I think it might have something to do with that, where Amazon have gone, oh no, if Europe push forward with this, which I expect them to do so, they're going to be asking some very difficult questions, because there's always been rumors going around that Amazon have done some very dodgy things when it comes to business, i.e. they know obviously who's selling, what's selling very well and what strongly. They've got all that data at their disposal. And I've heard stories that they've found these suppliers because obviously they can see who's doing very well. They go to those suppliers and say, we're going to give you lots of money. We want exclusive control of this product line on Amazon. And they've hoofed out the people doing very well, kicked them out and said, don't supply to them anymore. We want you to supply us exclusively, and just flex their muscles and just, kick people out of a deal that they had in the first place. And they may turn around and say, oh, it's just business, but they're using an unfair advantage to make that business. So Europe are starting to tighten up. And I think they probably had to get their heads together and say, right, we need to make a bit of distance here, because it's unfair trading in a way. If you're the buyer, the seller, and you own the whole game, then you almost have too much control of that pie. So that's what I think. There may be a little bit more definitely in our favor, but they may realize that they've been taking the mickey a little bit in that side of things. They'll become the process of, any suspensions, any issues, and the whole issue resolution process will have to be clearer, and there will have to be a better step, because at the moment it is a little bit foggy, and it's you can get on one day, you'll get one response, on another day you'll get another. So I have a feeling these very timely inquiries are going to make them have to just come into line a little bit. And this is good, because sometimes companies like Amazon, if they're too big, they can have too much power, and it's almost like, I don't really care, we'll do what suits us, because ultimately we're big enough. If we stand on a few small people, in the grand scheme of things, no one's ever going to find out, so we'll do what we want. So I definitely think that's good news, and we may see more of that. We may see more of them pulling out and saying, okay, I think we're too close to the action. You know, if we do, let's do excuse me, let's do good at what we do, which is provide the fulfillment network. Let's double down on that and make sure we've got the best platform, and enable everyone else to do the actual donkey work, so to speak. Let them mine for gold, let them make their success, and we'll provide the facility, the structure for them to do that. So I wouldn't be surprised in the future they double down with that, and maybe pull out entirely of retail and just be the owner, almost like McDonald's. You know, in the end, they're now just a bunch of landlords that provide the infrastructure for other people to make money, and that's how they make their money. And I can see that coming to fruition one day. What do you think to that?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and you make a really good point there, because what I would love to see, especially from the one point in terms of, if Amazon are going to suppliers and they're basically just taking their business because they know where it's from, and they're basically underhanding, that's just completely wrong. Like, yeah. I don't care what anybody says, whether it's business, it's just not business. That's actually I would actually argue that it's criminal, because, you know, at the end of the day, it is wrong for anybody to be able to do that. You know, that is like I have a prep service. That is like me knowing suppliers for the prep service, and then me simply going to the suppliers and saying, don't sell to that one anymore. It's only sell. It's just completely wrong. It's completely, it shouldn't happen. It's criminal. I actually believe it's criminal. And then on the other hand, in terms of these legislation or different things that are coming in terms of online, I think one of the most fundamental ones that somebody out there with some control needs to come out and do is this whole process of suspensions. Like we've discussed it before about the suspensions. They can't just come out and suspend you like that. And this is where the whole idea of having seller account managers in place, where if you've done something wrong, right? You've not done it intentionally wrong. Now, if somebody's done something intentionally wrong, I get it. I believe that they should be banned, right? If you're selling fake stuff, you should be gone. If you're intentionally breaking some type of law, or like you're just selling phony stuff, then you should be gone. But there's too many legitimate sellers like me and you, like you guys in the chat, that are being impacted where something could have been done proactively. A simple email saying, this product here is A, B, C, D wrong with it. Please take action on this. And now you've got maybe an email. If the email's not responded to and nobody takes action, there's so many emails we all get. It's very easy for somebody just to miss an email. Performance notification, flag it up in there. If that don't get action, get somebody to give you a phone call. Does that happen? Do you know, like, get that gone, and have some type of red beaker on Seller Central. Do you know what I mean? Like, do something where it's flashing at the top. Take action on this, and even have a countdown timer. How easy would that be? Saying you've got an issue in your account. If you don't action with this, it could suspend you. Yeah, flashing red light. You'd see it straight away. You'd go in, you'd go, oh shit, I'm so sorry about that. I didn't, you know, it's a lot of the times it's unintentional. Yeah. In my case, when I got suspended, it was because of an ingredient in a conditioner. I have no idea. Like, I'm just selling conditioner, right? So I'm not looking at I'm not looking at everything in terms of, oh God, that ingredient is not allowed. But how easy would it have been for somebody just to say, flashing red light, action this, remove this product, proactively, or Amazon then remove the product proactively out of your control and says this had to happen. To me, I just feel that like that is such a simple thing to do, and I think it should happen. I absolutely believe it should happen.
It's really straightforward.
I'll give you an example, right? In terms of my business here, I'm always looking at how can you fundamentally, at the root cause, prevent a disaster, like, and make it mechanical. Don't make it human related, because human error happens. So, for example, restricted products. What we do in our, because we use spreadsheets and things, as soon as there's a restricted product, for whatever reason, it goes into our restricted product list. And that restricted product list is actually automatically connected to our buy sheet, our sourcing sheet, and everything. So as soon as that product goes anywhere near our sheet, it immediately goes black. And like that's an indication, it's a flag for somebody to go, don't buy this product, don't ship this product. And it's like mechanical. It's not like it's you know, somebody can still purchase it. But somebody can still purchase it, but it's such it's such a like a visual thing to stop it happening. And I think Amazon can do that too. I really do.
I mean, most of their procedures are automated. They have to because of their scale. So the fact that they've flagged up something's been wrong with you and they've suspended you in the first place, that's as a result of some automation. It's very simple to, rather than suspend you, have that flagged up, remove it from your inventory, suspend the product, tell you why they've suspended it, and say, right, now you can liquidate it or take it back. That's why education, communication, everybody's happy. Now you know why. Move on with your life. You didn't realize, we realize that it's not deliberate. In future, this is now, you now know what to do. Even give you a minor strike out of, you get 10 a year or something. Very simple. Just say, it's a minor warning. You've done something wrong. This is what you need to correct for next time. If you kept breaking the rules, then they'd say, right, we're going to give you a 6 months period where we're going to be paying more close attention. You've got to sort this out. Very simple. There's loads of things you can do, and it all could be automated. It doesn't have to have that much interaction from them. They've just got to do it. It should be an easy thing to implement. But unfortunately, we don't work for Amazon, do we? But if we did, I think we'd very quickly whip them into shape, Kev.
I think so. I think so. But it's one of those things. I just feel like something as important as people's lives on the line, or businesses or whatever. That definitely needs to happen. Somebody needs to. I'm hoping it's not an automatic thing in the first place. I actually hope that it's actually a human thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would shock me to the core if it was an actual automated thing where, somebody's actually in the seller performance team. They're just coming to their 9-to-5 job, and they're a part of the seller performance team. They just like, oh, look at all these suspensions overnight, and then they're actioning it. Like, I'd hate for it to be automated like that. I hope that. I know, but how shocking is that? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's opening their emails and they've got automatic, like, oh yeah, they've had 3 accounts suspended. Now you're actioning them. Why they were suspended? Like, surely I'm praying that somebody manual has actually looked at it and gone suspended.
Yeah.
And even then, even if it's manual, surely somebody with a conscious mind, with an actual emotion being, would be like, God, what's the impact of being suspending this account? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It is. I think there's a lot they can do, and I think it's coming. I do think it's coming from.
I think it's coming
from the European sort of directive that was very clear. It set out, and I think they definitely had Amazon in mind. They set out their store. You can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do that. And it was very clear, and it was absolutely made sense. It was common sense, and this is why I think being part of Europe is such an important part for us, because they do good stuff for us. They help us out. And I imagine it may, once we leave the European Union, I think it would probably be just as easy for Amazon to include us in the UK with that anyway. They'd have to make changes. I think they would be very short-sighted to only make changes in Europe and not in the UK because we're not part of Europe. I think if someone has pushed them to make changes, they've said, yeah, okay, I kind of agree. It makes sense just to do it anyway, regardless. But yeah, there are situations like that where Europe can really help us out to be part of a bigger organization because they're paying attention to this sort of thing. And they're saying this is not fair. Online is a new world. It's a new frontier, so we need to make sure people are protected. People are making their livings by this, and it's unfair for someone who this is their living to wake up one morning and find that their living's been switched off by someone who has too much power. There need to be regulation, and if there is regulation, there need to be a proper appeal process. So if someone has been unjustifiably cut off, then they should be able to have a proper routine of being able to appeal it and say, no, I don't think this is right. And then maybe have an independent reviewer to say, okay, I agree with them. It's overturned. It should be as simple as a proper, as you would with an employer. If you had an employee, you wouldn't be able to come in and say, oh, by the way, I've sacked you. I didn't like the way you looked at Tony in accounts the other day, so we're going to sack you. They wouldn't be able to do that. There would be a complaints procedure, and there would be a proper legal way of saying, I think you've been unfair to me. And there needs to be that in the same way with online. I think it will happen. It just takes a bit of catching up because things have moved on so quickly. I think it will take a little while to catch up, but yeah,
I think you hit the nail on the head there. There's protection for like exactly what you've just said there. If an employee gets unfairly treated, there's a way to get back your job or get compensation or do something. The same needs to apply online. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and people wouldn't do that. People know that there are boundaries, and you can't throw your weight around like that because they know there are repercussions, and people are protected from that. So, yeah, I think it's coming, and it's only good. There's only good news for us coming in the future. I think Amazon are positioning to add more resources for us. They're positioning to make us the future. You always get naysayers on Facebook groups, and some people moan about Amazon and the strength they hold and the fact that there's no profits, but I disagree. I don't get involved in those conversations because you could be there all night and it's fruitless. But I definitely think it's the other way around. Amazon are pushing us to the forefront, and all the rumors and the rumblings I can see, I think they're positioning, if anything, I can see them moving back from retail more and more and actually pushing forward their network and letting other people get on with it. And it makes sense. It's good for them. It means they can grow, and they can just roll it out and let other people do the legwork, and it's win-win for everyone. So definitely can see that happening.
Win-win.
But, we're over an hour already, Kev, and we haven't even got to the questions.
I know. And that's what I love about this show. It's very, very. We get together virtually and we just get talking, and it's great to hang out with you guys. Really looking forward to as the year goes on, just continuing to be involved in the Reseller Show community. I see Sean here saying, can I take one of the Take Massive Action hoodies? And next time we should maybe do something for the Reseller Show. But next time you're about, I know you're quite very local to me, Sean. You should come to the warehouse. I'll give you a hoodie. You can wear this every single day. I do.
Yeah.
I've got the first batch of hoodies that I purchased. They were slightly wrong. In terms of it had the life missing, it just said success engineer. So they sent me a second batch of hoodies, right? So now I've actually got 45 hoodies of the same thing. So, so this is all I wear now.
Excellent. That's all good. I love it. You've got plenty for your staff in future anyway.
Exactly.
Okay. So right, let's crack on with some of these questions because we're past the hour mark now, and I want to get through them if we can. So Nene in the reseller group just this minute has asked, have you used Amazon's own repricer? Would you recommend it? Sean said, I'll ask them now live in YouTube if you like. Oh, okay. There's 20 minutes of the show left, so Nenny, you're literally getting your question answered straight away. I haven't used it really. I've messed around with it. I don't really like it. Luke Pastor says it only prices down, which is correct, which means, you know, it's not a fully featured thing. I never like the idea of you giving too much information to Amazon as well, especially if they're selling on that particular item as well. It just, I think it's better to use something that's out of that whole sphere, and something that's more fully featured. I'd rather pay more personally for something that's more fully featured than something that's free and perhaps made by someone who is, you know, is running the whole show. Personally, what would you say, Kev? Have you messed around?
I totally agree. I haven't, to be honest. I totally agree. I think you've always got to see what is the company's objective, and at that point, there, you know, their objective is to have the best prices. And the way to get the best prices is to, you know, who knows how this algorithm and the pricing and things changes. But with Amazon's, I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying don't use it, because I have no idea. I'm just simply saying I'm like you, Andy. I prefer to use something else.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on from that, there was a swift answer. It's pretty straightforward. Paul asked earlier on today, hey guys, question for your consideration. It's about VAT, my favorite subject personally. I'd be interested to know how you approach the VAT threshold, cliff edge, i.e. with a turnover of 84,999, your net turnover is 84,999. But with a turnover of 85,001 penny, your net turnover is 70,834. Long time ago for you, Andy, I'm sure, but cast your mind back. Did it change the way you sourced products? Did it render any of your existing stock unprofitable? So basically, he's saying when you're approaching the VAT threshold, I think we've covered this before. When you're approaching the threshold, so you get into that point whether you're just before or just after, obviously you don't want to hang around on that cliff edge too much, because if you pop just over, then you're not in a particularly good place. Did you have any particular tactics, Kev? Did you think about what you would do, or did you just get your head down and plow on and it is what it is? How did you approach
it? Well, what I would do, what I did is I plowed straight through without knowing, and then the accountant was like, "Holy crap!" I was like approaching. I was over 100,000, and I was like, "Oh crap! What the hell is VAT? No idea." Yeah. Anyway, that's another story to go to. But what I would do in terms of you guys, if I could go back and learn from my mistakes, I would be proactive. I know at the end there you said, did it render any of your existing stock unprofitable? I would change the calculations I would change my prices to suit before I'm actually VAT registered. And a part of that would be changing your, if you're using spreadsheets, for example, make sure that you're doing the modification. Let's say, for example, I knew I was going to be VAT registered from next month, or I was predicting I'm going to go over. I would be proactive in actually making the change to my prices proactively. That's what I would do. Yeah. Did it change the way that you sourced products? No, it's the same. You source the products fundamentally the same way. It just some products that you would purchase previously are now maybe not profitable anymore. And then you just wouldn't purchase those products anyway. So let's say out of 100 products that you would have purchased as non-VAT registered, maybe a selection of them now would no longer be profitable because of VAT. So, but in terms of the way you source products, it's the same. It's the same way. Your criteria has just now become a bit more difficult, if you like. That's why it's an amazing time when you're not VAT registered. You take all that money. I wish the government. Oh God, we can talk for ages of this. I wish that the VAT threshold was 1 million, and let us people that are like got small businesses that are trying to change the lives of not just ourselves, but when you're successful in your business, and when I mean successful in your business, like at a point where maybe you can employ a friend or employ a relative or somebody local to you, all that does is it promotes more growth, and the unemployment around it just booms the economy, I believe. For me, the amount of money that you pay on VAT, that could have got me another 4 members of staff in this warehouse. And if you think of what that result is in terms of 4 extra staff in this warehouse, it means more growth for the business. It means more employees. It means more growth. And the economy then has this boom effect where everybody now I do believe that businesses should be taxed. I absolutely do believe that. I think that it's the right thing to do because of some people. I'd much rather live in the UK than maybe elsewhere in the world because of the things that we have, and ultimately everything costs money. The roads, the buses, everything costs money. So I do believe in tax, but the threshold is so low, really, when you think about it. I genuinely believe if it was, I don't know, $500,000, $1 million. At that point, there would be. I would love to see how it would play out in the grand scheme of things. How it change the economy in the UK. I think it have a positive effect. People have more money, more opportunity, more growth, and more prosperity. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. It is a tricky thing, but I think Kev's knocked it on the head there, and the nail on the head, so to speak. I think you've either got to decide to yourself you're gonna try and avoid it and doing everything you can, even sort of down trading before you get to the line to make sure you stay under it, or you've just got to embrace it and say, I want to grow my business. It's something I'm going to have to embrace. You prepare for it. You know it's coming. You're looking at your figures. You know that maybe this year you're going to go over it with Q4 or whatever. You embrace it. You say, I'm going to push on. As you say, you adjust your decision-making strategy accordingly, so you're doing it ahead of time. You're maybe not going for some of the stuff that you might have just snipped in under the line. You embrace it. So I'm going to grow forward. I'm going to grow past it. I want to grow bigger. And I want to crack on. If that's the case, then you do so. Otherwise, if you want to stay small, have a lifestyle business, nothing wrong with that. If you want to chill out, then you get to that stage, then you say, I'm done. I'm going to stop trading for the year, and I'm going to say, no, thank you, Mr. VAT. I'm going to have an easy life. I'm going to put my feet up. But that's up to you. You know, depending on how you're trading and the type of stuff that you've got, you know, that doesn't leave you with an awful lot of money necessarily. If the price of your stock is a reasonable amount, then your turnover is going to knock you over pretty quickly. So, you know, if you were selling expensive £150,000 boats, you wouldn't be able to, you sell one boat in the first week of January, then you're off to the races, see it later. So, that's the way it goes. But
a champagne problem.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I call it. A champagne problem.
Yeah, I definitely think you should attack it and embrace it and go head on and do what you can, because if you're negative and you're trying to shy away from it, some businesses you might be able to get away with it if you've got a service-based business where there isn't that much costs, and you're being able to put that out, and your profit is basically your turnover. Then you can probably do much better and say, I'm quite happy to sit on that type of turnover. But in this kind of business, then you can be turning over an awful lot, and your profit might be a relatively small part of that. So just crack on, just embrace it, bite the bullet, and push past it, and make it work for you and make it part of your business, I think is all I would say to that, Paul. But you're doing really well, I know, in your business. We've both met you. We've shared a lunch together at the spring fair, and I know you're doing very well, and you'll smash it. You're on the right track, so I don't think you'll have any trouble when it comes to that part of it. Now,
a great question, though, Paul. Fantastic
question. Yeah, awesome.
Some great questions this week.
Yeah, I've had some good ones. Now, Paul, I think, went on a bit of a rant in the reseller show. He wasn't overly happy with something. Let's see if I can find that. Hoping to get you a notification. Pop up my phone tonight. Remind me. Got to have a rant to make me feel better. Right. Pay attention, Kev, because this is going to be heavy duty.
Sorry, where am I looking?
This is in the reseller show. Paul Gilbert.
Right. Okay. Go on.
His question. Right, it's quite a long one, so let's say we sort starts off. So I've sent 17 of the same item to FBA. All went live, but isn't Prime, and charge £4.45 for the item to sell as postage cost. Anyone had this happen to them before sending to FBA? Then Amazon started selling this same item and undercut me. Now I'm stuck with 17 items I can't sell. Just hoping Amazon will run out of stock in the next 12 months before I get long-term fees. But what really bothers me is I was selling these daily from home doing merchant fulfilled, then decided to take to FBA thinking they still sell as no one else has clicked selling these. But soon as it went to FBA, I feel Amazon found a profit and put me to one side and took over this item once I tried to do it on FBA. Rant over. Did you get the gist of that, Kev?
I think I got the gist of it. I think I did. And this is what this is all about, Sean. We are here to rant. We are here to
feel free, absolutely.
Express our opinions, our love for this, our frustration for this, our anger at this, our inspiration, everything. This is what this show is all about. So
we're not sponsored by Amazon, so feel free to rant whenever you want.
No sponsorship from Amazon here. They couldn't afford us. But what's the question?
I'm not entirely sure. Let's go again. I think there is a question in there.
I sent 17 to the same. I sent 17 of the same item to FBA. All went live, but isn't Prime and charge $4.45 per item. Anyone had this before sending to? I'm not 100% sure. I know what you're saying next about Amazon coming on and then they're just dropping the price, and now they're not allowing you to sell. That happens. It should be a part of the analysis in my recommendation to have a look to see if there's been any history of Amazon on a listing before. If there has been some type of interaction with Amazon, that should be some type of, it's not immediately a red flag, but it should definitely be some type of amber flag, orange flag, something. Pay attention. What's going on there?
Yeah.
If there's been no history of Amazon at all, and you get hit because Amazon just come out of nowhere, then I mean it's one of those things that happen. But I love the rant, Sean. Love that.
Yeah. Is it because, Sean, you're in the chat, so you can answer this. Is it, Sean, that that you're not eligible to sell at FBA? There's some requirement, and they just don't want you to sell at FBA, but you can sell at merchant. Was that the issue? Did they say that it's not an FBA feasible item? Is that what it is? Because you said all went live but isn't Prime, and charge £4.45 for the item to sell as postage cost. So for some reason they don't want you to sell at Prime, but you have been selling at merch. So that might be the issue. But, again, it comes down to Amazon's communication, doesn't it? How well they actually let you know what the thing is. So you might have been... okay, it says £4.45 delivery post and doesn't show Prime. That's weird. So you've sent it into FBA.
That's interesting.
And then it just says £4.45 postage cost and doesn't show it as Prime. Then Amazon copied you. That's weird. Don't know. I've never sent anything into FBA.
If you could, Sean, if it would help, it'd be great if you could take a screenshot of, if you go to Amazon Seller Central, you manage inventory, and just take a screen. You don't have to take a screenshot of your Wholesale Central. Just what the row of that product is. I mean, if you're not in the if you're not in the buy box right now, you're not, and Amazon are selling it, and you're struggling with it, you've got nothing to lose. If you send that into the group, it might be, for example, have you converted it to merchant fulfilled, and now there's some type of it's Amazon are now thinking that you're not Prime. I fully don't know exactly what's going on.
You might be able to open a Seller Central case and just ask them what's going on here, because it might be just crosswires there, Sean. It might be just that there's an issue, and sometimes it's not obvious what that issue is until you open a case and then just say, what's going on with this, and then they'll look into it and come back and tell you explicitly what the issue is. So that might be your first port of call, Sean, but it doesn't help that Amazon have now moved in and brought the price down at all. That's just Amazon being a pain, really. But I don't know. You might get some more clarification by opening a case, though, I think, because that does sound.
I mean, if in doubt, open a case. They'll be able to help you out for sure.
Yeah, but keep us posted. Let us know how you get on. And as I say, if you need a rant, then that's what we're here for. That's what the Reseller Show Facebook group is all about. Because yes, it's a safe place to vent your feelings. We're not going to judge.
No, we're all friends here. That's what this is all about.
Yeah. So I reckon that wraps it up for the questions, and we're now at 1 hour and 20 minutes. It's been a record Reseller Show episode in terms of length. So unless you've got anything to add, Kev, it's probably a timely time to wrap it up and say good evening. I think it's been a good one, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Just as always, if you're watching in the chat, we would really appreciate just a thumbs up, just something. Just any support from you guys, we obviously really do appreciate it.
Definitely.
We absolutely love doing this. It's a great time of the week to hang out with you guys. But obviously, at any time that you engage or any thumbs up, or we obviously appreciate it. And I hope you have a fantastic week. Take massive action, and looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely. It always comes around quickly. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, if you hit the bell notification after you hit subscribe, then you will get a notification every time we go live every evening, which is obviously very handy. And you can join us and answer any question you have. All right, guys, that pretty much wraps it up. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening if you're listening to the podcast. And we'll look forward to chatting with you next week. Take care and good evening.
See you later.